Welcome to this week's episode of the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel couple. I'm Britt and my partner Ryan, and every Tuesday we share stories and tips to help inspire you to take that next trip. This week we're talking about the most common mistakes that beginner backpackers make, and backpackers in general also make sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Number one, I think, is overpacking. And I know I'm definitely guilty of this one.
Yeah, everyone's guilty of it.
I think everyone is. No matter how many times you go on a trip, no matter how many trips you've been on or like how experienced you are, someone always has something that they pack that they don't need.
Yeah, I think the mark of knowing that you packed effectively is whether it's a weekend trip or a 6-month trip, that everything in your pack gets used at least once.
Yeah.
And
if it's a 6-month trip, it probably want to be used more than once, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, as a rule of thumb, like, if you're going on a weekend trip and you pack, like, 4 sweaters and you wear one sweater all weekend long, like, you way overpacked, you know?
Yeah.
You are so guilty.
I'm really bad at this. Like,
Ryan packed the most... okay, granted, this was your first time ever backpacking.
Yes.
So, I mean, I remember my first time ever backpacking. First of all, I watched so many packing videos that it was actually, like, a little nauseating, the number of... Because packing videos, like, no matter how fantastic of a job the creator does to make them, like, there's an element of them that's just a little bit boring because it's just
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I watched so many packing videos, it was nauseating to, like, see what I needed to bring and what I should pack and what I should da-da-da-da-da-da. And I still overpack. I overpack every time. My overpacking guilt is... Clothes. I overpack clothes. I wear everything, but not everything I wear enough to warrant the amount of space, like my dress.
That black dress that was really heavy and really bulky. So
I ordered the Free People black dress. Well, they have multiple colors, but the long maxi dress, and it has like the little like capey sleeves, and it's like a deep V, and it's like low in the back. It's gorgeous. It's super flattering. Like, I love that dress, and I thrift everything. So for me to like pay full price on something new, I was absolutely in love with it, and I took this dress. First of all, this dress takes up like
half a packing cube?
Yeah, like half a packing cube, which I bring 3 packing cubes of clothes. So a giant percentage of my clothes wardrobe was taken up by this one clothing item. Now, this clothing item is deep cut. So I have to wear a shirt under it if I wear it in any sort of modest country, or even like mildly modest country. I have to wear a shirt underneath it. It is heavy. Yes. It's not really good for hot weather.
No.
And it's not good for cold weather. So
absolutely not. But it is full length and it goes all the way down to your ankles. So it covers most of your body. So for countries that were other than...
No, I couldn't wear it because it had too much of a dip and it didn't cover my arms. So I'd have to wear a long sleeve over it underneath, and then it's too hot. I didn't wear it in any super modest countries. It did not work.
I only remember you wearing it like twice.
Yeah, because I did only wear it twice.
Yeah. So that wasn't good for you.
But when I did wear it, I looked good.
My guilty, like, packing thing is not clothes. Definitely not clothes.
No, you're like one packing cube, and you're like, I'll wear it.
That's enough. That's enough clothes.
She's like, I'll just get a new tourist t-shirt. I have no clean shirts. I'll just get a new tourist t-shirt. I'm collecting them.
Yeah. My guilty thing is usually, like, tech. So, like, we film everything. So I'm, like, trying to figure out... There's a bee?
It's a bee. Is it still by me?
There's another one here now.
Oh my God.
It's a different one. We're experiencing some technical difficulties. We'll be back in just a second.
Bees are gone.
Okay.
I hope.
Okay, so
You overpack tech. Ryan overpack tech.
Because we try to film everything. And toilet paper. I did pack 4 rolls of toilet paper in my bag. I squished them. I don't know. I hear the horror stories of Southeast Asia, no toilet paper in the toilets. You can get it there. I don't know why I needed 4. I could have brought 1. And like, if I was stuck for like a day before we got set up, I could have used it. But
the best part was then in the moments where he really needed it, he didn't even bring it with him.
Yeah, the High Van Pass. I left that hotel without it. And there was no toilet paper.
Go back and watch or listen to our last podcast. Not the last one, the one before. The one on toilets and squatty potties?
Yeah, that one.
Ryan tells the whole story there.
Yeah.
But you do overpack tech.
Yeah, like GoPro stuff. I had like every attachment for the GoPro. I think I used like 2 of them.
Yeah.
I also had like a tripod attachment for my phone. And
which could be good, but we travel with 2 camera bodies.
Yes.
So when you're carrying 2 cameras around, you're not using the tripod then to put
and the
your phone
is
on
supposed to be something quick and easy and all that.
Yeah.
And like for quick and easy, we just grab the phone and one of us films the other one, or like we selfie mode, whatever. Didn't need it. Could have done without it. It's just like, if you don't use it, don't bring it. But it took me going through like one trip to know that I don't need all that stuff.
Yeah, but we're getting ready to start packing, or we've started the packing process to move into the van. And like, we're gonna overpack into the van.
Of course.
And we're gonna the plan is to go for a few months, and then we're gonna stop by my mom's house because we're gonna pass by there anyway. But it will also allow us to have some time to like unload a bunch of the stuff that we're not gonna use, not gonna bring. And
yeah, I think that'll be our trial. Like, we have a month or 2 before we get there.
So
if we don't use something in that time, we leave it at your mother's house.
Yeah, no. I have a method to my madness when it comes to packing, and Ryan hates my method.
I do hate it.
Because it's a long method. So you pack all your stuff into your packing cubes. And then there's 2 parts of this. If you're packing for the season that it currently is, the stuff that you go into your packing cubes to wear out, that's the stuff that's coming with you. If there is something after and I'll do this weeks in advance. So if there's something I put into the packing cube that I didn't go in to get, and I'm currently in the season of those clothes that I'm packing, and I didn't go into that packing cube to get it, I don't need it.
You take it out?
I take it out. I don't need it. I'm not going to want it. I'm not going to wear it. I didn't go for it in 3 weeks. I don't need it.
See, if I put something in a packing cube beforehand, I just wouldn't open the packing cube. I'd work around it. I'd be like, no, I've already packed. I don't need to go into that.
Fair. Well, I don't do that. I'll go in there and get it. So if I didn't go in and get it, then I don't need to bring it. Also, I pack everything up. This is specifically when I'm backpacking, though. I'll pack everything into my backpack. Then I go back in and I half it.
What I do is, like, 3 or 4 days in advance, I make a list. I write out my list, my packing list of everything I could possibly need. And then I go through it thinking, I'm never going to use that. I'm never going to use that. And I cross off the things that I'll never use. And then whatever's left, that's what I'll...
Did you save your list?
Yes. I did.
Should we link it below? Is there a way to do that?
I believe so.
In case someone wants it?
Sure.
We'll figure that out. So you can go down below and find Ryan's packing list. Now you have a project today.
Now I have a project, something to do.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, and now, moving on from overpacking. Another thing is, okay, you're going out on a trip. You're not, it's not where you're living. It's, far away. It's different climate, different, you're doing all sorts of different things. You end up going on hikes. You end up doing all these activities.
Okay.
You end up buying things for the trip.
Yes.
So, I bought adventure sandals.
Yes.
You bought a new pair of sneakers.
I did.
The problem with that is, I got mine 3 or 4 days before we left. They finally came through. You don't have the time to break them in or to test them out to see if you actually like them.
Yeah.
It didn't backfire on me. I love my adventure sandals, but it could have. It could have been terrible, and I could have hated them.
You could have. So I needed a pair of normal running sneakers / shoes, sneakers that I could just wear to work out or wear to walk around all day. So what I did, because I knew I wasn't going to have time, because they literally arrived the day before we were leaving, I ordered a pair of sneakers that I had already had in the past that I loved that had just been worn out.
Yeah.
So I had already knew, there was still a break-in period, but I knew that those specific sneakers worked for me.
Yeah. But in those initial few travel days, you're usually moving so fast that you don't really have time to stop and change your shoes if your feet are getting sore, and you don't think about it either because you're all caught up in it, and then you have a blister, and then it's
and you walk more when you're exploring new places because
and you got to pack. You got a lot more weight, especially your shoes.
You suffer more with feet blisters than I do.
Yeah, I definitely do. But
so what would your advice be?
Bring blister patches.
Yeah, mine was just, if you aren't going to have time to break in your new shoes, then get a new pair of shoes that you've already had, so you know that they work for you.
I would say order your shoes in advance of going and break them in properly before you go.
Sometimes you just don't have time, right?
I know.
Or you can just thrift your shoes and then someone else broke them in for you.
Yeah, but they're broken into someone else's foot shape.
It's fine. I love thrifted shoes.
Yeah.
It's just as long as they're not dry rotted.
Yeah.
So make sure your gear is packed in, but that also goes with your pack and stuff. Like, make sure when you get a backpack that the backpack fits your body. Like, I know I have the Eagle Creek Global Companion. I don't think they make the same model that I have.
Yeah, we got the 40 liters.
Yeah. But I prefer a backpack that's made for women. So some backpacks, they have men's version and a women's version. And I like a women's version because the torso is a little bit shorter. I have a shorter torso, so it just fits my back better. When I'm just get a standard one that's usually made for a man's body, the torso is longer. So it's hitting my butt. Yeah. So then when I try to use the waist strap, it's too high on the back of my head. And it's just really uncomfortable. And carrying all your stuff on your back can be very uncomfortable anyway, so make sure your pack fits you right. Yeah. So I would recommend going to a place like REI or somewhere that has them there to try on the different packs.
Yeah, don't try them. Don't order it online unless you've had one exactly the same as it before. Yeah, I would try them on.
I mean, what I did is I had never tried my backpack. My backpack was getting phased out when I ordered it, and I knew it was. But I watch Backpacking Bananas. I really like her channel, and her body type is somewhat similar to me, and I saw that she had done a review on this backpack, and I'm like, okay. So I looked for someone who had a similar body type to me, and then what backpacks they were liking, and I was like, okay, she has a similar build to me. If it works on her, it will most likely work on me, and it did. So look for someone who does reviews that has a similar body type as you if you have to order it.
Yeah, and I trialed yours for a couple weeks when we were away somewhere else, and I really liked it. Even if it was a women's version, I ordered the men's version then, and it's really comfortable. I really liked it, and they don't sell them anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the next thing is not planning your visas in advance enough. Like, we're both lucky. I come from Ireland. It's in Europe, so I have a EU passport. You're from America, and you have an American passport. So most of the time, we don't need a visa in advance. You can get a visa waiver when you get there, or you can pay for a visa when you arrive.
But some places you do.
But some countries, like Vietnam, which was our first stop, you can't. You have to do it online beforehand. You don't have to go to the embassy, but you can do it online beforehand, and it can take up to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We did ours because it was around Christmas time and we were rushing and trying to get everything ready. We did ours probably 4 days in advance of when we were planning to leave. So that gave us 5 days before we actually got there. And that was cutting it really close. We were both very worried, and we thought we might have to stay in Singapore for a couple of extra days until the visa came through, and it would have cost us more money because we'd have to book another flight from Singapore to go to Hanoi.
Yeah, so just make sure that you know what I would recommend, that when you book your flight,
do the visa.
The visa. Now, you do have to have your exit as well. You have to put your entry and your exit. So if you know, but they've extended the days to 90 days. So look at your visa, depending on where you're from. Look at your visa requirements and do accordingly. But figure out your entry and your exit. And when you do that, the day you do that, apply for your visa.
Yeah. And if for 90 days now, that's kind of a long period to book an exit flight. But I mean,
you can also get
there's ways around
it. You can also, if you don't want to book an exit flight, I don't know how.
You can rent tickets. There's a service for that, but that's
yeah, because then 90 days is a long time. We haven't looked at the 90-day requirement, so I'm not sure. So we're thinking in the 60 days. So what I would do is I would book if I knew I wanted to stay longer, I would come up with some sort of soft plan of where I was going, and then I would book a bus ticket out.
Yeah.
And then change it to a flight.
Right.
Because I think you can change it. But you can't change your entry.
No.
But I think you can change your exit. But check me on that. But I'm very pretty certain that I did that when I was there, that I changed my exit.
So then other things for preparing before you go, make sure you've got all your banking apps. Yeah. Like if you're American, you need Venmo, you need
Zelle, Cash App. Make sure you have your bank's app. I would also recommend with that to have multiple checking accounts.
Yeah.
So you don't need to keep a lot of money in them. Look for ones that you can get for free or that have pretty low minimums. And this is just in case one of them is compromised in any way, you still have some access to getting some money. That's the whole thing with the Cash App, the Zelle, Venmo, is if your cards are skimmed, which happens all of the time.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be able to get money. So what you'll have to do, and we've said this before, you'll have to transfer money to someone. You'll have to find someone in your hostel, transfer money to them, and they'll have to pull the money out. So you want to make sure you have all the different cash apps so that someone will have an app that's comparable that you can transfer money to,
and they can give you cash.
And you can get the cash out.
Another thing that I actually made this mistake, and I was rushing to try and fix it just before we left, is check all your expiry dates on your credit cards. Because they don't send them out until they're about to expire. But if you're gone for 6 months, it could expire in that time, and now you have no way of getting your card. So mine, I had like 2 or 3 credit cards that were about to expire on the trip. So I had to contact every single credit card company and ask them, tell them I lost my card and send me out a replacement so that it updates. So now they're good till like 2028 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I almost got caught with that one. I was like, oh. I don't know if I'm going to get it in time.
You're not getting them.
Luckily, they're pretty quick here. I get them in like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, but once you get over there, like you're not getting them.
No.
First of all, most banks won't send them internationally like that. So even if you have them sent to one of your friend or family members' home, and then you want to get it sent out there, I had both of my debit cards skimmed when I was in Indonesia, my first time I was there, and they tried to send it to like a DHL or something, and then I could pick it up. I never got either one.
Yeah.
Never got either card.
And a lot of times when you get a card, you have to activate it somehow online through the app, whatever. And a lot of these apps and websites can tell what country you're in. So it will flag it as fraud, and you won't be able to log in because it's like, oh, why are you trying to log in from like whatever country you're in? Because they think like someone's trying to hack your account. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. Another thing is check your expiry date on your passport. You need minimum of 6 months after you plan to be back, because you need 6 months of validity for your last flight. You're not going to be able to like just get it.
So I would say if you like a passport as an adult is good for 10 years in the US. I would say if you're at like the 2-year mark for your passport, go get a new one.
Yeah, because it could take a long time.
Yeah, go get a new one before you go.
Get the big one if you plan on doing a lot of traveling. Get the extra pages.
Get the extra pages anyway. They don't charge you more for the extra pages.
Oh, they do in Ireland.
Oh, they don't in the U.S. So just get the big one because it doesn't cost you any extra. And they used to do the little books where you could just like insert the pages, and they don't do them anymore. No. So just get the big book so you don't have to order a whole new passport if you fill it up, because hopefully you fill it up.
Yeah.
And with that, make sure when you're leaving that you have enough room. Some visas take the whole page. Like Vietnam requires the whole page. Some countries require a fully clean page for
just
the stamp in and stamp out. So make sure you have enough pages. If you are even questioning whether or not you have enough pages, order a new passport. Mm-hmm. Get a new passport, because you don't want to have to be there and trying to find an embassy and getting a new passport while you're out there just makes it so much better to just have it and take that off your plate to worry about.
For sure. Another thing.
Learning the language before you go.
Yes, that's definitely.
I know the first time I went backpacking, well, when I would go backpacking,
we're not talking like learning the entire language. We're talking about like basic greetings, like etiquette, things like that. Thank you, hello.
Yeah, basic would be like hello, and thank you. Like basic. Right. That's like bottom. And then if you enjoy language and you want to learn more, things like how are you and how to answer that question. Mm-hmm. Etiquette, like if you're going to an Asian country, do not just leave your chopsticks inside the bowl, like sticking out of the bowl. Super rude. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Place them like across, or like place them
on a chopstick holder.
Or like on the table or something. Don't like stick them into the bowl and leave them. Things like that. Like learn these basic things. If you're going to a modest country, learn like what is appropriate for you to show and what's not. Things like that. So the first time I went traveling as a solo, I was so good because I was going by myself. So I needed to be able to answer people. I needed to be able to communicate. I needed to be able to ask for directions. But then when we went together, there was just a lot going on before we were leaving.
Start.
So I just didn't prepare as much as, and plus we were going to most of the places we went, I had already been. So I just wasn't prepared the same way I was the first time as far as language goes. So we get to Vietnam and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I had learned in Vietnam the last time I was there. And I think I ended up missing out on some really good interactions because the first time I was there, and it's not that we had bad interactions because of it. I just feel like we missed opportunities that possibly could have presented themselves. So the first time I was there, I learned like, hi, thank you, how are you? I'm good. A lot of the food items I still remembered because I remembered that, the important stuff. And just there was a lot of opportunity for conversation, a lot of opportunity to get to know people more and things like that. People really just appreciate that you took the time to like learn a little bit about their culture and about their language, because that's why you're traveling.
And it can like change an entire interaction.
It can change an entire interaction.
Make like people treat you a lot better.
Yeah.
When you address them in their own language.
Yeah, because you showed the respect to them to learn a piece of you're there, and that's why you're traveling. To go somewhere and not learn any of a language and any of a culture it's a little sad.
Yeah, but we did both get better at that as we went through.
We did. About halfway through, I was like, Ryan, we're just speaking in English, and like this is not acceptable. Like we need to like learn some Vietnamese. Like it is time that, and you also would have me do a lot of the talking, because I did do the ordering because I always remember how to order in another language, obviously.
Yeah, and you understood what all the words meant.
And I understood what the words meant for the food, so he would just step back and allow me to like do all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not going to learn. Like you have to step up and do it, because you have to learn. If you just let me do it all, you're not going to get like the experience isn't going to be as fulfilling. Right. So then I think like halfway through,
I started doing it, and then we got a few surprises. Definitely, we got a few things that we didn't mean to order, but it's all part of the learning process. Like when we were out in the middle of nowhere and did we get snails when we didn't mean to or something like that? I think we did.
I always mean to get snails.
I don't like.
Maybe you didn't mean to, but I'm like, hand it over.
Yeah.
That snail in Vietnamese.
After that, snails are good. You know, I had them in Hanoi. They're great. Basically, what I'm saying is, go out of your way, learn a few of the key phrases, some of the food. Like, it's a learning experience. You're gonna make mistakes. Most of the time, people appreciate the effort. And like you have a much better experience, and it's a much bigger like growth opportunity for you if you take the time to learn a few words and phrases in each language as you go through. Yeah, absolutely,
I agree. It opens up a lot of opportunities to make connections with people you might not otherwise get to connect with.
Yeah, and then a next mistake that a lot of people make.
Well, no, but I think this coincides with it, and I think this is important. Don't make the mistake to not engage with the locals.
Yes.
And I think that goes along with the language. So I know a lot of times, even with like expats, when you're living in a place for a long time, you're staying in hostels and you're with a lot of other travelers, it's very easy to like fall into an expat community, into a party hostel community, into just a social hostel community, and only engage with the other people who are backpacking or the other people that are traveling, because it's easy. Because you're all sharing this same experience. Right. You're all in the same place. You're all living the same lifestyle. You all have the same experience together. And beautiful community can come through that. Amazing experience can come through that. Lifetime friendships can come through that. Opportunities can come through that. Like, it's an incredible thing. Do that. But don't forget to engage with the people who live there. Yeah,
we're definitely guilty of that. In the start, in Ha Giang, I wanted to definitely spend more time there and interact with the locals, but we were on such a tight time frame, and we weren't sure how long it was going to take us to motorbike the entire country and do the Ha Giang loop. And this was at the start of our trip that we were like, okay, we have to keep going. We have to keep moving. We have to keep moving. We didn't like take any time up there and stop and stay for a day or like you know, go explore and converse with locals or anything like that.
Specifically in Hanoi, a great way to have conversations with a lot of the locals is there's multiple lakes. There's big lakes. So if you go to these lakes and walk around, a lot of times there'll be students there who want to practice their English. And they'll come up to you. They'll come up to you, and a lot of tourists shrug them off. Because you have somewhere to be, you have something scheduled, you have places to go, you want to see it all. But to make sure that you kind of schedule an evening or an hour of your day or a little bit of time to give back to the community in the sense of taking a walk around the lake and allowing the students to come up and talk to you. They want to practice their English. The only way that they're going to be able to practice is
By talking
to
to
talk to
someone in
people.
English,
And
yeah.
a lot of people avoid them because they have somewhere to be. And I understand that. But I think it's important to take the time to engage. So if you're going to Hanoi, take an hour out of your day. Take 30 minutes out of one of the days when you're there and go to one of the lakes and walk around and look for the students.
Right.
They're usually there in the afternoons after school. And they'll walk around. And it's also a good time if you're looking to practice some Vietnamese or learn a few words to ask the kids.
Yeah, how to
Ask
say
them.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they'll
be
tell
like,
you the
how,
correct pronunciation
So
and
say
all
like,
that.
how do I say, thank you? How do I say hello? How do I say, how are you? And they're going to tell you, and they're going to benefit from that exchange because they're practicing their English, and you're going to have a good time because you're going to talk to the kids. It's like very much, they're going to tell you like what kind of sports they like, what
Right.
kind of TV programs they like to watch, what's their favorite food, what's their favorite holiday, what's their favorite, like, they'll ask you if you have sisters, if you went to school, if you have if you have family, like what does your family do, what job do you have? It's very that conversational.
Right.
So, I mean, take the time and like go talk to the kids.
Yeah, and remember, like when you're traveling, you're like basically like an ambassador for where you're from or for other travelers, like Westerners. Like it's how you act is how you're perceived, everywhere you go. So, you try and don't be that ignorant tourist who's just like doesn't interact, and some people are just there. Like, it's another thing, like, don't try and travel too fast and just check off all the things on your list.
That can
Travel's
happen
not
a
about
lot.
like just trying to check the bucket list, it's about like genuine experiences and interactions with people from all over the world.
We're definitely super guilty of moving too fast.
Oh,
I'm
for
super
sure.
guilty. Well, we both do it. But I know I have this, I'm like, well, I'm here. I have to see all of it. I have to do all of it. I have to see everything and do everything. And then you get yourself burnt out. You miss opportunities. Sometimes when you slow down, that's when like the best things. I know times where I was traveling slower is when, your host family at the homestay you're staying at like invites you to come for a family meal. And now you're sitting in their home with like 4 generations of people and you're asking them questions and they're asking you questions and you're getting home cooking instead of what it is that they're cooking at the restaurants, because no matter what country you go to, there's restaurant cooking and there's street food and then there's home food
cooking,
and home cooking. So I mean, and people are very excited to show their culture, and they're very proud of where they come from. No matter where you're coming from, people are excited, and people are excited to share it. Like, I know I get excited even here when I'm like, Ryan, have you had this kind of like American sugary cereal?
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was like, Ryan, have you ever had Lucky Charms? And he's like,
Because I'm Irish?
and I'm like, no, because they're like marshmallows. And he's like, no. And I was like, oh, I have to get some. So I like got Lucky Charms and like made him a bowl. And I was like, do you like it? Do you like it? And he's like, yeah, this is like sugary sweets candy for breakfast. I'm like, yeah, it's marshmallows. And kind of like sugary Cheerios, but it's good, right? You like it?
Yeah, with marshmallows in it.
Yeah, so it's the same thing no matter where you go. People are excited to show little pieces of their culture and little pieces of things that are unique to their area. So learn the language, hang out with the people, have these experiences.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to get to do things, and it's good for yourself too, because when you speed through places, it's hard to see everything. You get too burnt out. You're tired. You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah,
Relax.
to just check off things on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that, another thing that people tend to make the mistake of when they're backpacking is spending way too much time worrying about small things, like little things, worrying about this and that. I'm definitely guilty of this. One thing that jumps into my head is my bike fell over on the Hajong Loop. I left it up on its thing and it fell over, and then the little thing cracked on the handlebars, that like the kill switch cracked and it was damaged. And I was, the entire time that we were riding from there to all the way down to Ho Chi Minh, I was thinking every day, I was like, oh my God, I need to get this fixed before I return it, because they're going to charge me so much money, and I'm going to lose my deposit.
That was the big thing. He was like, I'm not going to get my deposit back. And I'm like, Ryan, the deposit is for like if you never come back with the bike.
Yeah,
like,
but it was like a $400 deposit. But
like,
in my
that's the
head,
cost
I'm
of the
thinking
bike,
in
Ryan.
like Western prices and like a piece like that would probably be $120 at a dealership.
Plus
and then they're
labor.
going to charge you $150 an hour for labor or something like that. So it ends up costing that much. And in my head, I was like, I have to fix it beforehand. So I ended up taking like, every mechanic we stopped at, I would ask them, did they have this piece? No one had it. Then finally, like the day before I was supposed to return my bike in Ho Chi Minh, I spent a whole morning driving around all the different parts shops and trying to find mechanic shops, all of which, none of them are listed in English. You have to like find it in Vietnamese and type it in, and then you go there and it's not, they make chainsaws or something like that. So I wasted an entire morning looking for this little piece that would fit on the bike so I could fix it. And then I went and was like, okay, I just got to give up because no one has this thing. And I went to return it. And I was like, oh, by the way, I damaged it a little bit here. And he's like, oh, okay. And then we went over and talked about the security deposit. And he's like, I'll take off for the damage. I was like, how much is it going to cost? And he's like, I can't remember the number in Vietnamese, but he goes, $7. I was like, $7?
Yeah.
That's it?
And remember, he did this during the Ha Giang Loop.
I spent like 7 hours like trying to get this.
But not, you spent 7 hours trying to get the piece, but you spent almost a month worrying about it.
Exactly.
And every time we'd stop for gas, he'd be like, oh, I wonder if we pass a mechanic, should I stop and ask to see if they have the piece? And we'd like stop to get an oil change. Oh, you think maybe they have the piece? And he's like, I got to go look for that piece for a month. For a month.
That kept bringing it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you don't need to sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat it. Like, just enjoy it. Whatever you're doing, at one point you were dreaming about doing. So while you're traveling, like I spent years dreaming about long-term traveling, like obsessing over it. Like it was all I thought about. It was my motivation for everything that I was doing was so that I could long-term travel. And then sometimes I'll like get so stressed out where I'm like worrying about all these like tiny things like, oh, is this bus gonna match up to this? And am I gonna be able to make it to that?
The answer is no, they don't match up.
No, the answer is no, they don't match up. It's like, just go with it. Like, is this place gonna be good? Am I gonna go here? Am I gonna see that? What if I miss this? And what am I gonna miss that? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Girl, you literally dreamed about this and obsessed over this for years. Relax, enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be fine.
It'll all work out.
Yes, it will.
Another thing that people tend to like make this mistake when they're first backpacking, especially beginner backpackers, is walking around with their phone out with their directions, or like walking around not looking like they know where they're going.
Yeah. Especially
in like high tourist areas is definitely a place you don't want to be doing this.
I would go for everyone. It's important to walk with confidence.
Yes.
Because if you're not walking with confidence, you're a target to get ripped off.
Yeah, ripped off, pickpockets, like scams, everything.
Yeah, and this is anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Now, if you're a female solo traveler, I would say that's even more important to walk around with confidence. Like, so put your head up high. If you don't know where you're going, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Don't walk around with your headphones in, things like that. That's just anywhere in the world.
Sometimes I walk around with my headphones in, but I have nothing playing.
Oh, so people don't bother you.
So that people don't bother me.
Right.
But just walk around with confidence.
Yeah.
If you look like you're walking with a purpose, you look like you know where you're going, even if you don't.
Just walk like you know where you're going.
Because you don't want to be a target. What it is if you look confused, you look lost, you look scared, you look worried, you now have this target on your back. So the people that are going to notice, not always, but usually the people that are going to notice and come up to you, they're going to try to take advantage of you. No matter where you are in the world, it's just a reality.
Yeah. A rule that I have in my brain, like no matter where I am in the world, is typically if someone approaches you in the street anywhere, they usually don't have your best interest at heart. They're looking for something from you, or typically. Now that's not all the time, but like typically in like bigger cities, more touristy areas, this is definitely true. They're
definitely
trying to
more
rip you
tourist
off.
area. Definitely
like
more
in a
touristy
rural
areas.
area or in like a place that's not heavily like
traveled. It's probably not the case.
Usually just curiosity and like welcome to where we live.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we don't see too many tourists come.
Yeah,
like,
so then there's genuine excitement and they just like want to help or invite you to their house and things like that. That's different.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, unfortunately, people are trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah,
or
take advantage of you.
Yeah.
I would say to combat this. So what I've done in the past. I was really lost in Manila in the Philippines, which is not a place you want to be lost in. No, it's not. So what I did is I walked with like super confidence, and then I would like tuck in to a little shop or something and like pull up my phone because I always get Wi-Fi no matter where I'm going. I have international plan from T-Mobile, but you can also just get a SIM card everywhere you go. And I recommend doing that, putting it into your phone. An eSIM's fine, however you want to work it. You get a SIM card, you have Wi-Fi. So you walk super confidently, and then you pop in somewhere and you look up your maps.
Yeah.
And you look at your map and you go, okay, I have 3 blocks and I take a right. And then you walk super confidently, like all the confidence in the world. Strut your stuff. Put your mean mug on and just like walk so no one bothers you, and then pop into another shop or like somewhere and like pull up your phone again.
Yeah.
And like peek, even like a doorway, like somewhere where like people can't just see you or pickpocket you or take advantage of you. Just pop in somewhere, look at your maps, and then go again.
Yeah, not like a darkly lit alley. With
No, don't like go in a dark alley.
No,
like I'd find like a
there's-
convenience store or a fast food restaurant if you're in a city, because there's fast food restaurants everywhere. You just like pop into one, or some sort of little shop or something. Yeah. When I say pop into a doorway or something, like there's banks, you can like pop into a little bank doorway. There's hotels, you pop into a little, like just use your brain. Always trust your gut. If your gut's telling you something's off, get out of there. If your gut says it's fine, and then I think it's realizing the difference between like just normal worry or a little anxiety and your actual gut telling you it's something wrong. And that takes practice, but listen to your gut. Your gut is always right and it's always going to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah, and especially like another problem, like another like mistake that a lot of people make, like in relation to that, is when you're traveling is being too polite.
Yeah, I'm guilty of this. I think most women are guilty of this. We're taught that like we're supposed to be polite and not to make others feel bad and which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
You should not make others feel bad. You should absolutely be polite. You should be respectful of other people's cultures, always, unless it's going to negatively affect you.
Right.
So
whether that's like making you feel uncomfortable, whether that's like you buying something that you didn't mean to get. Like people are like sometimes, depending on who you are, they could be really pushy about selling something.
Yeah.
And like, or they just add it on and you don't even know about it. We definitely fell victim to that in Sumatra.
Yeah.
When we stopped at this like sketchy place, the vibes were off.
But we stayed anyway.
We were getting warned like not to leave your phones around. People are going to steal it and all of this. And we'd already sat down and ordered food.
Yeah.
And you knew what we ordered.
Yeah, and he was just bringing stuff we did not order.
He brought us stuff what we ordered, and then he was bringing out this more stuff that we didn't order. And the last thing was like these skewered mussels, which when we tasted them, they didn't taste great. They didn't taste right.
My stomach is like churning thinking about it. So they were expensive. We didn't order them. I'm literally getting nauseous thinking about it. They didn't taste right, but like, I don't know.
At that point, we just wanted to get done and get out as fast as we could.
And I was like, I don't want to be rude and like leave them, and it's expensive and it's food and I don't want to waste money and I don't want to waste food and I don't want to be rude and like all these things. So we just ate them. Fast forward 2 days and I was vomiting for days. I had started getting sick in the jungle and had to get like emergency hiked out. It was horrific. And then after that, I was sick for like a week.
It cost us so much money. Because we had to stay in a really fancy place that had
needed to lay on the floor in the bathroom.
Yeah, like with a nice toilet and a shower and all of that. And it was expensive. It added up and we lost so much time. We lost a week of time.
Lost a week.
And we still weren't right after that.
And we were both sick.
Yeah. So it affected us for like weeks afterwards.
Yeah, so there's, for the most part, always be nice, always be polite. But then, like, if it's going to potentially hurt you, like, don't.
Be firm.
Be firm. Yeah. You don't have to be rude. Just be firm. Be like, no, I didn't order that. I don't want that. And if they make you pay for it, then pay for it. But, you know, just pay for it and then just leave.
Don't eat it,
Don't eat it. You don't have to. And if you have, if you have food allergies.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
It can be a little tricky because, I mean.
Like, if you got an allergic. If you're allergic, like.
Shellfish,
or peanuts. Like. I don't know.
I think it goes back to language. I think you have to be responsible for learning how to say those things.
In that language. Because, like, a lot of these countries, they don't have, like, widespread allergies to those foods because it's so common in their diet that their bodies never get the chance to, like, get an allergy to this.
I don't know if that's how that works, but maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't think that's how that works, but they don't. They don't have the allergies. A lot of people don't have the allergies.
Yeah.
It's not common. And you're trying to say it in English. They don't know the English words, and that's where it would help knowing some of the language.
Yeah. And
even if you just have a book and you write down in it in English, in the characters, in whatever it is, like no seafood, no fish, I'm allergic. I'll die. You
Right,
know, like
yeah.
you need to be able to communicate that with them because everyone has allergies everywhere, so they'll understand what an allergy is.
Yes,
It's not like
yes.
no one there ever has had a peanut allergy. I would highly
No,
doubt
it's just
that.
less common, and probably they're not exposed to it as much.
I think it's also in a language thing. Like they don't
Right.
like just make sure
Yeah.
you know how to say it, even if you have like a little cheat sheet. I'm pretty sure they sell like peanut allergy, and it says it in like a million languages
yeah.
that you can show people.
And it have like a little flag next to it, and you can like show them.
Yeah, and you can show them. So it's something like that when it comes to food allergies. As it comes to food preferences,
Yes.
like if you're vegan or you're dairy free, there's no real dairy there, so like you'll probably be fine with that one. But if
Or
you're
like
vegan or a vegetarian or you have food preferences, I think it's important because I've been vegan before. I've done all of the diets.
It's a privilege to be able to like select your diet.
Yeah,
like,
what you will and will not eat, I think is a huge privilege, and it's something that it taught me that through traveling is that not everywhere has, and most people don't have the privilege to be so selective of what they will and will not put in their body.
Right.
So if you're going into a rural place that you are bringing these food preferences into, that's something that needs to be navigated very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I know I went to a small little village in the Philippines and they killed one of their chickens because I was coming there. And at the time, I did not eat meat.
Right.
I ate the chicken because I was like...
You can't. It's like severely disrespectful in that case, like not to...
Yeah, and I guess like there could be ways to not, but like my thing was like, okay, like to be able to select what I will and will not eat. This is a food preference, not an allergy. And they are doing this for me to present to me their culture, their heritage, all of these things. I'm not going to look at them and be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eat it. Now, now I eat everything, but at the time, kind of my philosophy on it was if I'm in a rural area and they're presenting me with something, it is a privilege to be able to decide what I can and will not eat, so I will eat it. And then if you're at a restaurant, this is just my philosophy on it, and you can choose what you want, then you choose what you want.
Yeah.
But it's a very delicate thing that I think you have to go through. And I don't know the right answer for it, but I just say thank you because I think it's a real privilege to be so selective with what you're eating. So when I'm in an area that doesn't have the privilege of being selective, I'm not selective.
Right, yeah. I think that's a sensible way to approach that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have other suggestions on how you have done that in the past, if you've been traveling, let me know down below because I'd love to know everyone's ways of doing that in a kind way that's not disrespectful to the family. Because I think it's really delicate, and I would love to hear ways because I know that there's people that are vegan and they're like, I will not break it. I would love to know like respectful ways that you've been able to navigate that situation because it's hard. Or do you also just say thank you?
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Yeah, I'm not vegan anymore. Now I just say thank you all the time when anyone hands me anything. But
yeah, I think that rounds out pretty much all of our common mistakes that people make when they're backpacking.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
If you want more of us, you can find us at Rangeless_ on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. And until next week,
Bye.
bye.